Today we're joined by Chandon Georgian, founder of 111 Works, and Charlie Gadbois, CEO of Wellen Construction, to talk about collaboration, working together, and the behind-the-scenes realities of running a successful design and construction business. Welcome to Season 2 of the podcast. The name of the podcast is In the Workroom with Manny. Chandon and Charlie, thank you for joining me. I wanted to have you both on to talk about collaboration. I wanted to talk about a project that you recently did together. But I also want to talk about your businesses and where you came from, how you got to where you got to. For me, I grew up in this business. It was in my basement as recently as 17 years ago, in my parents' basement. So I was always upstairs hanging out with my sister, and we would get called down to help cut some fabric or do something that my mom and dad would need help with. But Chandon, I wanted to start with you. I was saying before we started that I was remembering at the summit how they talked about the lack of female leadership in the architectural world, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you left where you were and you went off on your own and you bet on yourself. I love that. I think that takes guts. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got to that point and what made you go off on your own.
Well, I spent almost 20 years at Marcus Gleason Architects, and so I learned a lot there. Marcus was a great mentor, and I think there's a time and that you just need to see what you can do on your own. And I learned so much from him in terms of great design, how to approach projects, project management. Working with a large team in the office or a good-sized team in the office. And the last project I worked on there was a project where most of the whole office was working on it, 6 people, and the project kind of wrapped up just about when I decided it was time to go on my own, because I could see that I really enjoyed running that team of 6, and there's not always a project like that within a firm. I might just be working by myself again, depending on which projects were coming up next, And so knowing that I want to run a team, I really needed to run my own firm.
Yeah. A natural step.
And I immediately approached it that way. I even before I had employees, I worked out benefits and payroll and all of that, so that I knew I could attract good talent and bring them on right away, assuming I got the work. So.
Yeah, the work, yeah. Charlie, how'd you end up in your business?
So I was graduating from college, and I had a cousin who was owned and was running Wellen Construction, and they needed people. They needed labor, they needed people, and so they invited me to come in. And from the very first day, I fell in love with the industry in terms of just the people aspect of it, negotiating, construction, interacting with people all the way along. I built my first house with my cousin back in 1989. It was 32 feet across the front, 24 feet deep. So you can imagine we build family rooms bigger than that now. It took us about 2.5 months to build this house. We put it on the market for $155,000.
Wow.
And we got an offer the first week for $150,000. We spent 2.5 weeks going from 150 to 152.5, which back then we were making. We looked at it like we're making $1,200 a week. Doing that. And from there it just kind of took off. I worked with my cousin for 5 or 6 years, and then he invited me to be a partner, and I was partners with him for about 18 years, and then he decided to retire. And one thing I think that Shannon was just trying to relay is, when you move, you can do it, but then when you move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat, you have a slightly different perspective on the roadway. And I think that's where you see people blossom. I certainly, I've followed Chandon's career her whole time. We knew her from MGA, and it was great to be able to work with her on her first project alone here. And we knew she had all the skill in the world, and she's just kind of done a straight line up in terms of that her business model, et cetera, because she had it in her, but
Yeah.
now she's in the driver's seat, and you see it all the time. And I felt the same way when my cousin moved on, and I remember going into work that first day, where you're like, okay,
Let's go.
I made a lot of decisions before, but now I'm really making them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. No, I remember the same thing. Northeastern University has a Center for Family Business, right? And I think that family business is really tough. I've been blessed because my mom and dad were really winding down. I had a job at the headquarters of Dunkin' Donuts, right? And I was working on, I had a master's in business, and I was working on international supply chain. And it felt completely lifeless to me. And that's not a knock on Dunkin' brands. It was a great place to be. I had a manager, a boss that I loved. And then in my first 4 months there, he moved on. And I was looking around like, I had this guy I was going to learn a lot from. Now he's moved on to a higher position. I did it for 3 years, but the juice for me was back in this family business that I grew up, and my dad would be yelling from the basement for me to stop watching cartoons and come down and help him cut some work and things like that. And you're exactly right, Charlie, is that I remember when mom and dad started to slowly, and they're here every day. Mom is definitely going to interrupt the podcast at some point here. She interrupts all of them, even though I think we warned her today, so she's. And my dad will probably not realize what we're doing, and he'll walk down and he'll start talking to us. That's the way it goes. But they've been great because they stepped away and they were like, all right, yeah, you go with whatever way you think we're going to go. I remember when we moved into our facility before this one, and they were like, this is too much. This is too much. This is too big. And in 5 years, that place was packed out. And then we moved into this place, which is filling up quickly as well. Tell me a little bit about your project together. I read a little bit about it. If you can share the details. I know a lot of your clientele, you probably can't say or who they are, where they're from. I don't care about that, but the project looked beautiful. I saw a lot of pictures of this kitchen because the homeowner was a chef. Is that right? Are you allowed to say that?
Oh,
He likes to entertain.
Yeah, he likes to cook,
Likes to
right?
cook,
But he's
likes to
not a
cook.
chef by trade. No. They bought a home in Lincoln that was it's a modern house, but the kitchen itself was very cut off from the rest of the space, more of an old-fashioned layout in terms of there's a kitchen space with a small living area associated with it. You go through doors and you go into like a large living room, two-story living room next to the dining room. It's all open. There's a bridge on the upper level between all of the secondary spaces. So the feel of that was completely different than the kitchen. So when I met with them to discuss the remodel, I said, well, we have to blow out this wall, and open up your access from the garage and the mudroom, and make the informal spaces of your house, work with the formal and have that more open layout, right? And so we blew out the walls between the dining room and living room and kitchen, and also there's another sunroom that's like their informal dining area, and made more of a direct access from the mudroom into the kitchen, so that the space flowed, and then all of the spaces spoke to each other instead of just being completely compartmentalized. So.
Have you guys ever walked into one of your projects and said, I can't believe that I drew this up, or I can't believe that I built this? Sometimes I only do window treatment, so it's a finishing touch on one of the many trades that are there, from the tile person, the wallpaper person, the painter, the flooring person. Sometimes I go back to these projects and I look at the draperies we hung and I say, I can't believe how good they look, or I can't believe we did that, or how did we figure that out? It was a complicated, bow window or something like that. Charlie, do you ever have that? Do you ever go back to a project?
I do. I had a unique experience. Envy is a powerful emotion, right?
Yeah.
And from time to time you feel not inadequate, but you're always looking at projects and saying, I wish I could do that, or someday I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at the very back cover of New England Home,
Yeah.
and looking at a project and saying, someday we're going to be able to be on the back cover of New England Home and
Yeah.
do projects like that. And then as I looked at it a little bit stronger, it was an ad for Marzilli. It was a house that we had done.
Jeez.
And you know, when you're at a project every day and you're working through the daily grind of the details, et cetera, you lose sight. It's the forest through the trees type of analogy.
Yeah.
I find it more satisfying. We just did a massive project up in Concord, and I went back 6 months later. When you go back 6 months later, and for me, when I'm walking through a project, little things speak to me. You know, I know there's a piece of baseboard that's not right that we've got to change, and maybe there's a piece of tile that's a little crooked that, you know, we have on our punch list that's got to get changed out. And they never stop speaking to me until they're gone. When you go back 6 months later and you see that the countertop is full of you know, cutlery, etc., and the cabinets are full, and you really see people are living there. That's when you really see the beauty of the work. And you know, it's also where you experience something. You know, hey, the architect drove for this detail, and now we can see the detail in its full glory in a way.
Yeah, it's got to feel good to see it come together. When you're in the thick of it, though, it must be. Chandon, when you go to one of your job sites, right? Isn't it? I always, you know, I'm always in the background, just kind of measuring and, you know, hiding and taking my notes, and, you know, but, you know, you see everything going on, right? So like the first time I worked on a project that you built, Norman, was with Meg McSherry at that house in Weston, which was overlooking the golf course, right? I think that was the first time I met you there on a project meeting one time. That was a tremendous house. I mean, there must have been, I don't know, 30, 40 people working in there at a time. There was a lot going on outside, a lot going on inside. But it's amazing to see it all come together, right? And Norman was
the project manager.
Was a project, and Norman is one of my favorite people in the industry. And the project was amazing.
Next to us too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Next to you too. Next to you.
We come first.
But. Yeah, no, it's, do you ever find that it's, like, do you ever go there and say, geez, you know, this is a lot? I don't know. It's intimidating sometimes. I mean, you know the details so well, though.
No, I mean, I think when I go, I'm looking, I do want to stand back and just look and, like, enjoy what we're building, but also, like, what you're supposed to be doing is making sure everything's being built as expected and that we're all on target. And I wanted to touch a little bit more on about, like, at the end of a project and going and saying, wow, I can't believe we built this. And I think a lot of that, and, you know, people always, the buzzword is team and collaboration and all of that, but it is that, you know, like, I might come up with an idea and I might not know how to get there, but then you have people like Charlie and the people that work for him that you go, okay, how do we make this thing work? You know, there's like a fussy detail on this kitchen that we did with a pocket door, and he had a talented site super who, Brian Clark, who was able to, like, we just sat down and worked through it, and I needed that talent and that knowledge in order to get that concept actually built. Without that, it would have been a little, the detail would have been clunkier. So, I mean, that's a little specific thing, right? But they're everywhere. They're on every corner and every nook and cranny of every house.
Every project has that. It has those, we don't call them challenges, but they're just things that we have to overcome. And, you know, we find, when we put our team together, you know, we always kind of say that attitude, passion, you know, is much more important to us than talent, right? Like, if you can assimilate into that culture of collaboration, you can do anything. If you come in and say, I'm smarter than you, right? And so, you know, Brian's a great example of that. Brian's all about collaboration. He's all about culture in that way. And, you know, that's why for us, aligning ourselves with somebody like Chandon is so beneficial, because when you have people who want to collaborate, you can get, you know, you can get a long way. When you have people that just want you to follow them only, it's a little bit more of a challenge.
No, that is hard. I remember specifically with Norman, we were trying to figure out, we were adding in motorized draperies, not after the fact, but the house in Weston there was about to get spray foamed, I think, and we were trying to get the wire in the right spot, right? And it was tricky because it was in the primary bedroom, and it was a pitch
A-frame.
ceiling. Yeah, and we were trying to get the exact spot right because we had to get the drapery right at the right spot. Wanted to make sure the wire didn't come out above it, and the wire came out below it, preferably, so it could attach the motor and be hidden by the drapery. But we were figuring out different. But you're right; it's all about attitude, having the right people.
Shades is an example of everyone needs to have
Yeah.
some. There's like so many
Yeah.
people that are associated with
I
making
know.
shades come out right.
Yes, yes, and the decision has to be made. I think it's tough to visualize it sometimes. Is you have to make those decisions. How's it going to look? How do you want it to look?
Yeah.
While it's still 2x4s, or 2x6s.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about both of you personally. Chandon, what do you do for you outside of running your business every day? What's your day like on Saturday or Sunday or Friday night? What do you do for you?
Well, I have two kids. I have a
Yeah.
15-year-old and a 10-year-old. So there's
Okay.
a lot of running around.
Yeah.
One rock climbs, and so I'm taking him to competitions, and the other one's a sailor. So
I
it's
love
fun
that.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But as a group outside of our, the sports that we do as kids, we do a lot of hiking, camping, bird watching, outdoorsy. I like to be outside, get out.
Chandon, you live around. Where do you live around here, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in Sharon.
Oh, Sharon. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. That's a little bit of a ride up here today.
It is
yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
a ride, but it's
Yeah.
okay. I drive a lot.
Yeah, me too. I drive too much.
I don't think I drive probably as much as you.
Yeah.
But
I like driving though.
Yeah.
It's my one time where I feel like I can't do anything else. So
Yeah.
I do make a lot of calls when I
Yeah.
drive, but I like to stop for a second. Sometimes I listen to podcasts. Usually, not this one, but usually when I'm just checking to see how I did. But Charlie, what about you? What do you do for you? I know that Wellen does a lot of charity work as well. I would love to hear about that, but I also want to know what you do for you.
Well, if we're talking about just what I do only for Charlie, I'm an avid golfer.
Oh, great. Great.
I played competitively in college, so
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
play quite a bit.
Okay.
But if you were to ask me what I think of when you say, "Hey, what do you do?"
Yeah.
I'm a father, husband, community member. Those
Yeah.
are the kind of the three things that.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit deeper into my family life than Chandon. I have kids 28, 25, and 20.
Yeah.
And so we're just coming out of the sports. I had a couple college players, and
Yeah.
so we have one college player going on right now. So we're traveling up and down the East Coast here, watching men's lacrosse games quite a bit.
Yeah.
And doing that. And then my wife and I are deeply involved in charities. My oldest child has Down syndrome, so that through that experience, we've been involved in a couple of different charities. Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress, which I was the president of for quite a few years. The largest organization for and about Down syndrome and supporting families. And then we're also aligned with Camp Jabberwocky, which is the oldest sleepaway camp for people with disabilities in the world.
Oh, wow. That's great.
My wife and I host a small fishing tournament every year to help support the camp. Chandon has come.
And I won.
Yeah.
You won the fishing
one
tournament?
year.
Yes.
Wait a minute. How does a fishing tournament work? I have no idea. I've never been part of one. I love fishing. I've only been like 5, and I usually do it the unofficial way. I either go on a hire a boat or something like that.
Yeah. You'll be doing it the last Friday of June next year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
You got to come.
Last Friday,
It's fun.
last Friday of
It's
June.
really
Okay,
great
okay.
tournament. Yeah.
So we, through a bunch of connections my wife and I have, friends, family, etc. We ask about 30 boat owners if they would donate their boat for the day.
Wow.
And then through our connections at Wellen Construction, we ask people like Chandon, if they would donate, and then they donate, invite some other people. We put them on a boat, and all 30 boats go out and have a tournament. Catching the biggest fish, obviously, is the key part there. And then we have quite a celebration afterwards with a dinner and award ceremony, etc. And so we're fortunate enough this year. We're just wrapping it up this week. We're going to raise almost $200,000 for camp, which with a budget of $400,000 a year, it's pretty pretty
That's
instrumental
great.
for them.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
great. And you won the
I won one year, yeah. And actually, my oldest this year is going to attempt to volunteer to go, but it sounds like it's to be a counselor there. It sounds like it's competitive, so we'll see how that goes. But
Okay. Okay.
You might know somebody.
I might know someone.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I know. I through our church. My family's Greek, so I go to a Greek Orthodox church in Weston, and my kids are 16, 14, and 7. My daughter's 7. My boys are 16 and 14. So we're trying to get them involved to learn how to give back. So it's something we talk about all the time. It's something that's very passionate to me as well, because I've said this many times. I'm one of the luckiest guys around. I have my health. I have parents who have given me every opportunity to fail and succeed, and I have my kids are good kids. They're hardworking. They do well in school, and but it's really important to learn to give back. Really important. Does Norman participate as well? I'd like to be on his boat next year.
Norman goes. He fishes. Absolutely.
I have a special love for him. Yeah.
Well, he's the guy who reaches out to all the subcontractors and asks them to donate. So we'll get him.
Okay,
we'll get him
I'm
connected
in.
with you.
I'm in. Tell Norman to call me. My family. We usually plan a family vacation towards the end of June, but we're not going to do it this year because my son does track and he gets invited to these college events that are all fall, kind of at the end of June. So we're going to be around. So I'd love to. And my boys love fishing. And shame on me, I never take them because I didn't grow up.
Take them to this.
I'll take them to this. Yeah. They will love that. Great. Chandon, do you do any sports or any athletics or anything like that?
No, I don't.
None, huh?
I mean, if you count hiking, but I don't think you do.
Well, I think that's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to run, but I don't run anymore
Yeah.
because that was about 40 pounds ago. So.
Well, yeah, I would run for exercise, but not as like competitive. Competitively. Right.
Yeah. No, I got you. Tell me a little bit about the future of both of your businesses. Any family thinking of coming in, or any, how many?
Both of my kids say they're going to be architects and work for me, but
Really?
they're 15 and 10, so I'm not counting on it yet.
Yeah.
I have high expectations too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, they'd be great.
That's exciting,
Yeah.
though. My boys tell me the same thing sometimes. The younger one more. I would get them in here, so I would send them out on installations, and they would help steam and stuff like that. I think they definitely learned a lot, but they were having more fun with, like with one of the guys that would always go for burgers at Five Guys and this and that. So they'd come back and I'd be like, "Where have you guys been?" They're like, "Oh, we went to go eat at Five Guys." I was like, "Oh, great." Charlie, anyone in the family thinking of?
Not at this moment.
Not at this moment, yeah.
My middle daughter works for the district attorney's office here in Middlesex County as a victim advocate, and my son is studying finance at Skidmore. I don't know that that'll deliver him to Wellen Construction or not, but certainly the door's open, but it's not. But it's not something that we're going to push anybody in either direction. But Norman and I are cousins, so there's a family connection there for us.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
that.
my mother's maiden name is Wellen.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
and that's a connection through your cousin who.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, even trickier family business that way because when you're working, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen so many family businesses that have blossomed to be tremendous businesses, and then there's this semi dark, toxic side to it. The Greeks have had some tremendous businesses in the area, and they've had some that have turned a little bit sour, and I hate to see that.
Yeah.
So that's great that you guys made it work, and tell me about your employees. For me, my employees are so important to me because it's because of them that we have done so well here. I was having one discussion with Tim, who was my business president, and he was my small business coach when I was growing up. So when it was in the basement still, I knew I needed someone's help to guide me or to push me to keep this place moving forward. And Tim was that for me. And But we built it on having all these wonderful employees in here. Tell me a little, and Chandon, I don't even know, are you?
I have two,
You have
and
two
I have
employees.
a third one coming.
Oh, wonderful,
So, yeah,
wonderful. Okay, so
I have two project architects, both very talented. You know, I'm so happy that I have them, because without them, I wouldn't be able to expand quickly, which is my goal, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to make sure that the drawings get done right, and everyone's getting their questions answered, while I continue to go out and get more work, and then also then we can bring in new, more inexperienced people that they can train.
Yeah.
So they are essential and fantastic, and I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And then a new person who's fresh out of school is going to be starting in January. So
Oh, great.
I'm excited about that. In the past, I did a lot of training of people when I was at MGA, and the most successful people tended to be people right out of school, because you could train them, you know, the way that you think things should be done, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Blank canvas.
yes,
That's right.
exactly. So
That's right. That makes sense.
I'm excited to have her join too.
Yeah. And Charlie, what about you in your
So we
business?
have about 50 team members.
Wow.
So you know, big operation.
Yeah.
And without sounding cliche-ish, you know, they are our key to success. One of the things I think that gets lost is, you know, you have to not only do your business, but you have to run your business, right? And so for us, for me, it's not just building houses; it's running an organization that, you know, we have to administer the benefits and payroll for 50 people every other week.
Yep.
We have to pay roughly 150 vendors every other week.
Yeah.
Right. You know, we write about $750,000 worth of checks every week.
Every week.
Right. So there's a process to all of that.
Yeah.
And just like that, there's a process to collaborating with 50 people across the piece, across the whole organization, renting office space.
Oh yeah.
15 vehicles, all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, we're fortunate to have great people in place. We have great people at the top, great people in the middle, and great people on the bottom.
Yeah.
And training, you know, for us, training people, getting people to understand what the expectation is of their job, so that they can know. I mean, how do you do a good job if you don't know what a good job is?
Yeah.
You only get there by being lucky.
Yeah.
And so we try to take the luck out of it.
Yeah.
And get people to understand what it is that we're expecting. And, you know, you don't want to sound like the Patriots of old, but, you know, do your job, do it well, and the next guy does his job and does it well. All of a sudden, you're doing a really good job. And so, you know, we kind of try to pull all of that together. And it certainly starts with hiring good people who buy into what we're selling, into our culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the interview process, we ask people right up front, you know, are you the type of person who's difficult? If you are, let's get it over with.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
Wow, how do they answer that?
Yeah.
What if they are difficult?
That if we know they're difficult, we don't hire them.
Oh.
No matter
Yeah.
how good they are. Right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so we try to go through that selective process and,
Sure.
and understand. And then it's who you partner yourself with, right? You know, even you know, for us, who we align ourselves with, people like Shannon's group was incredibly easy to collaborate with. It was beautiful work. She held the same values and expectations of a project that we had. So we're not fighting that. You know, for us, if we get connected with somebody who doesn't value good work, and they're saying, hey, that's okay, it's good enough, and we're like, no, it's not good enough.
not good
We're going to redo it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a mismatch. So, you know, connecting ourselves with people like Shannon who hold themselves in the same way we hold ourselves is really important.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I've always viewed it is, we are in many ways a finishing touch on years of work that you will put in together to build a house, right? It's years of work, years of work. And I always, my rule with everybody here is our job, typically we work with designers, typically, right?
Yeah.
95% of the time. And our job is to make the designer look great, okay? Because we have to respect the amount of work that you both put into a project and put that finishing touch and, you know, and do it right and do it quietly and clean up and leave it perfect. And the homeowner walks in and is thrilled, you know? So that's the part that that is critical to me. And that's how I run things too. But you're right. It came up a couple of times today. Attitude is everything, right?
Yeah.
And the only way to collaborate is to have the right attitude, to be open-minded, and check your ego aside and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we do have to look at this a different way, and let me think about what they're saying and see if I can make it work. So, but I want to thank you both for coming down.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we wanted to cover? Did I cover it all? I wanted to make sure we got to cover.
No, I just want to thank Chandon for inviting us to collaborate with her on that project, and we're looking forward to many, many more between the two firms. We're always excited to have to bring our A game with her.
Yeah. No, and thank you both for coming down. Chandon, anything else from you, or?
Well, I'm excited to work with you and bring my A game.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
And you as well.
Good.
Right? I know. I work
hope,
with you through the designers, and that's our
Yes.
missing part right here.
Yes.
You know. But,
yes,
yeah.
it is. It is. And you know what?
Yeah.
You're right. We should have had a designer as well, but that's okay. I hope to see you both at some project soon, and thank you both for coming down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.